clearly we have got to talk about gold. Major price decline yesterday in gold caught the market completely off guard. What's going on? I found the 3 reasons. Let's talk about them, and let's also look at the charts and figure out where will the gold price go next. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Okay, nobody saw this coming. Major price decline yesterday in gold out of the blue, just as it was about to break out. And people are really struggling trying to figure out what has happened. And according to my research and my analysis, it's 3 factors. And the first factor is the technical analysis. And let's jump right into the charts with this. Here is the gold price. And you see the day before, this is Wednesday, we broke out, closed above the prior highs, super bullish. So everything was set up for another strong up move in gold. And it happened early, as you can see in the wick on the Thursday candle right here. But then it was faded. And it was faded some more. And gold started to fall back into this sideways area that we have established here, that I had shown you for weeks now, which is basically this big red candle, right? Everything, all the action that has happened in the past 2 weeks has been inside bar in this red candle. So it fell back, that started to trigger stops, and that enhanced the sell-off. What also happened, in my opinion, is the following. When you have been as long in the markets as I've been, which is now over 25 years, you learn a thing or two. Even someone that's not as bright as me. Year end, a good asset, as gold has been an excellent performer in 2024. So look at this. This is 2024. This is a stellar gold year. So what happens? A lot of times, institutional investors and funds, especially the ones that have underperformed, try to add performance with short-term trades that are highly leveraged. So let's look at this again, right? On the close on Wednesday, gold broke above the upper end of this red candle. Big buy signal. So what very likely happened is someone who is underperforming either a gold fund or a regular fund or a hedge fund, whatever it was, or maybe it was several of them, they probably went into the gold market highly leveraged on the long side. And when the gold price came down, they got liquidated, and that's why we had the big drop. Now, because this is usually what happens when something gets close to the end of the year, they want to have fast performance, regular position, not enough, so they go in with leverage. Because monster price moves like this with gold, yes, we had 3 really strong days, but this is still a really, really big sell considering the technical situation of the breakout. Okay. Also, we had an up move in the dollar on Thursday, but it was not dramatic. Nothing spectacular. So that didn't trigger any sells in gold. Plus, PPI data was actually good for gold. It was a little hotter than expected, good for gold. So PPI, That's the producer price index. So that's the inflation, the price increases of the goods that the companies have to pay. CPI, that's the consumer price. That's what we have to pay. However, obviously, PPI will always trickle down to CPI down the road because obviously the company is going to give the price increases onto the consumer, right? If the bakery has to pay more for wheat, at some point they will raise the prices for the bread. So PPI came in hotter than expected. Not super spectacular, but hotter. That's good for gold. Inflation going up, it's good for gold. No, big sell-off. So that shows me that some technical and market technical things were happening. Very, very likely liquidations. Plus, the chart technicals deteriorated during the day, which kept leading to the sell-off. Now, as of today, you see that we are right at the 50. So this will be important to see. As you can see, we always get big moves once we break the 50. If we break the 50, we're very likely hitting back to the lower yellow line here, the lower end of this big red candle, and that means we're still into it. If the 50 holds, then we will have to reanalyze, and we can still say, okay, this could just be unlucky circumstances and a correction of this very, very strong up move, right? So far, this is all it is. It's just very condensed with this big sell-off yesterday. Because look at this, we went from the lower end of the red bar to the upper end of the red bar, and we're basically corrected down to the middle area, maybe a little further down, but we're basically there, and that's where the 50 goes. So that's completely normal. However, I would like to point out another fact that nobody is talking about as of this moment that I think contributed to the selling. And that is that in the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, and I'm a big fan of the Longhorns, by the way, never went there, went to Arizona State, but Texas was on my list. I was considering it, University of Texas. So, state legislator with the great name of Giovanni Cabriglione. So, this gentleman, and this is important, and this hasn't made headlines yet, and I don't understand why, filled a bill in Texas to officially create a Bitcoin reserve for the state of Texas. This is not the thing that Trump talked about for the US. This is for the state of Texas. So this is new. And I think this is what triggered the algorithms to sell gold yesterday, and then that led to the technicals deteriorating and to the liquidations. Those are the three factors on top. So let's go back to the charts real quick and let me show you something. If we overlay the gold price with Bitcoin, as you can see, since November, Bitcoin has gone up, gold has gone down. That was the easy pairs trade. All right? You would go long Bitcoin and you would short gold or vice versa. So I think what happened yesterday is that the algos picked up this news about this Texas state legislator officially introducing the bill to create a Bitcoin reserve for the state of Texas, and then they started selling gold as a result of it. Now, this is also a very interesting phenomenon for the Bitcoin market. We'll talk about that in a video next week. But for gold, as I said, that was probably the trigger that triggered the sell-off. Now, let's wait what happens today in the late hours. if we hold in the 50 and the middle of the big red bar that I showed you about, basically where we quote right now, and we find a bottom here, that's still bullish, and the overall sentiment, the overall situation for gold, still bullish. If we go down to the lower end, then we basically developed, let me take out this Bitcoin comparison here real quick. There we go. Then we're basically developing a sideways market until we break the bar. I still think we'll break to the upside, but what I personally would like to see is let us get down here. It feels like the gold market really wants to test this support zone and the lower end of the long-term uptrend. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get one flush down all the stops that are below the red bar, flush it down here, and then we're good, and then we're going to go up. That would be my ideal scenario. But again, very important to always remember, don't try to predict the market. Don't try to force your views on the market. Let the market tell you what's happening and then act accordingly. 2 housekeeping notes. First, if you watched this video, if you liked what you saw, if you learned something, and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe. It really helps us out, helps us grow the channel. Also, as a thank you for Arizona State beating the hated rival University of Arizona this weekend, the first part of 2 parts of the show Drinks with Dan, a casual show where we talk about the stock market and life, drops this weekend, 25 minutes. Next weekend, part 2 will be 24 minutes because we scored 49 points on them. They deserve it. So I already bought my bottle of wine. I bought some tasty nuts for Drinks with Dan. Casually, we'll talk about, what are we talking about? I saw someone a question. We're going to talk about gold miners. We're going to talk about uranium stocks. We're talking about tech stocks. We're talking about what book I want to read this holiday season. We're talking about my number 1 trading advice, I think it is. So you see, casual, more personal, just you, me, and 8 billion of our closest friends. We're going to have a great time. We're going to drink a glass of wine and talk about the things that interest you. Now, for this show, the deadline is already passed to submit questions, but for next week's show, you can still do it. The only requirement we have, if you want to talk about individual stocks, market cap of 100 mil. We're not going into the small cap, micro cap, nano cap market. 100 mil market cap requirement, everything else is on the table. Just drop your question in the comments. We'll answer that next week in the second part. But today and tomorrow and Saturday, first part, Drinks with Dan. Enjoy it. Let's have a good time. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.